Hello, welcome to the workbook for the documentation course, How and Why to Document Your Business Processes. As you can see on the first page is a table of contents. Each of these links down to the template. Second page is how to use the workbook, basically make a copy if you're using the Google Doc or download the PDF if you need to. And there are yellow boxes that we'll see in a minute. Those yellow boxes are areas where you fill in your own answers. There is pre-work for the course, or if you're just completing this workbook by itself, you can also complete this pre-work, which is mostly about prioritization. Again, make a copy of this document to use it for yourself. We'll zoom in a little here. You're going to read some background information, writing down your task, doing a brain dump. What do you want to document? Refining that list. This is optional because there's more talk about prioritization in the next template in the workbook itself, but you also have access to this if you really need more help organizing your thoughts. What are you going to document first? You can use that. Let's go back to the main workbook. So you can add a link to that copy here so you can keep everything together, all of your notes about documentation, or you're welcome to copy and paste that pre-work if you decide to do it, so you can keep everything in one document. If you take the class, here is a section for notes, or you can just write your own notes with your thoughts and ideas about these topics if you wish. So there's prioritizing templates about copy. If you did the pre-work, you can copy some of your answers and continue to fill out the answers to these questions in order to figure out how many of these answers are yeses. The ones with the most yeses might be good ideas to document first. You have another option if you like the Eisenhower matrix of urgent versus important to decide what to document first. And then we have a template here that is just kind of helping you organize your thoughts and list them in order and reminding yourself why you put them in that order. All right, so then we're starting to write the process. So you have some space here to write your first draft of steps, more space for notes. Now we have a naming exercise, some thoughts about naming that you can fill in, documenting your official titles that you're going to name your documents that you're working on. And then we're going to talk about structure. You have a link to a template, but the template is also in the workbook. The linked template has an example that is completed. We're going to find it. Here it is. So that is included, but it is also here. We have some advice here about structure, because even if you're in the class, by this point in class, you don't have the slides yet because you are still working on this during class. So I added some help there. Here is that template again, if you want to use it here instead of on the separate document. The next part of the class talks about visuals. So you'll add some visual ideas. You have some space here. The next session is about creating a system for yourself to create, use, and update documentation, and then adding other people into that system or improving existing systems. So we have a few templates where I ask a question, and then you'll put your answer in the yellow spot here in this yellow box to help you organize your thoughts about how are you going to set up your personal system to make sure you continue creating and using and updating documentation. So that's a little bit of that. And then there is a similar format for adding other people into the system and the roles they play. So here is that. The final session of this class is about convincing people about the value of documentation and building that culture of documentation. During class, we do this role play for objections, but this is also helpful if you're not taking the class. You can just read through it so you know how to overcome those common objections to documentation. Just scroll through. They are color-coded based on topic. And then the final template is about creating a culture of documentation. It is a similar format of I ask a question on the left in the gray box, and you put your answers in the right on the yellow box, and that should help you decide what you're going to do to create this culture of documentation. I had to add some spacers here so things lined up on the beginning or the top of each page. You can ignore those spacers. I tried to explain them while they're there. So lots of questions, lots of things to think about, and then yay, you finish, and we celebrate you finishing.